My name is Les George. I'm currently employed by the City of Vista Fire Department. I've worked as a firefighter, I worked as a firefighter paramedic, I worked as an engineer, a person that drives the truck, and I'm currently employed as a fire captain at the headquarters station. What's it like growing up in the fire service? And basically we're all in the fire service. It's kind of different. I really never knew anything from the time I was born till now. I've always been involved in the fire service. When I was less than a year old, my dad took a job as a firefighter. So I really never knew anything different. The only thing I knew is that a lot of times when parents were home at Christmas and Thanksgiving and things like that, that my dad had to work.
As a firefighter, it kept me away from home quite a bit. When I first started, I worked a 72-hour shift. That was 7 shifts, 24-hour shift, and then you get 1 shift off. So I was away from home a lot of times when the kids were there. I was at home a lot of times when they were in school. So they were cheated, and I was probably cheated a little bit because I didn't get to spend as much time with them as I'd have liked to.
My dad was very, very strict with us, and never could understand why until I got into the fire service. And after some of the calls and the things that you see in our job, you can kind of understand why he was being a little strict with us.
I remember one call we went on in the city of El Monte where they had a fire in an apartment, and 2 little girls were there along with their mother. One of the little girls was handed to me, and I was carrying her out to the ambulance, and she was holding on to my turnout coat, and as the ambulance people took her, a part of her skin of her fingers was left on my jacket. And that was really stressful, and anything to do with kids, especially at that time when mine were small, it caused some concern on my part.
When I first started as a paramedic, I remember seeing some kids that were out joyriding and having a good time and crashed a car and killed them both. Those are the kind of things that really stick in your mind. During my time as a paramedic, and I had 2 young sons, and they were really into these big wheels that they used to have. And one day myself and one of the other captains that works with me now, when we were paramedics, went on a call where 2 young kids were on big wheels, and they had ridden their big wheels out into the street, and they had both been hit by a car. When we pulled up on the scene, there was a mom and a dad for each of the kids, and one of them was in full arrest, very, very badly damaged body. The other one was real close to death. And we're working these 2 kids, and by our training and the way we work, it's pretty easy to focus on do what your job is, and you go into automatic mode. But once you reach a point where you're done, I remember getting to the hospital and dropping off these kids and going back in the back of the ambulance and just sitting down and just going, I'm done. I don't want this job. They don't pay me enough money to be a paramedic, and I'm done. And one of the nurses came out and kind of sat with me, and we talked for a bit, and she said, so tell me, if you were to have one of your kids have an accident, who would you want there? Would you want somebody that was as caring and understanding as you?
My oldest son, Les Jr., went into the fire service when he was about 18 or 19 years old. He was assigned to a helicopter on the fire crew up in the mountains, and then he went from there to ambulance work, and from there to a paid fire department down in El Cajon. And there was some concern on my part because I had been involved, or at least aware of situations where firefighters had fallen through roofs and had not survived. One in Arcadia, about the same time that he went on the fire service, fell through a roof and died. I have been involved in so many accidents, so many that I can't even remember all of them, along the freeways where there was motorcycles down, severe traffic accidents, along the railroad track, cars hit by the train, and 5 and 6 people killed at one time. So that causes concern and caused concern with my boys when they grew up and were out on their own. If they didn't arrive to the location that I thought they should be at the time I thought they should be there, I always became very concerned.
Some of the hardest parts when you're working a 24-hour shift and you're being in the fire service is when things go wrong at home. Some of the guys that I work with have wives that can't really handle emergencies that happen at home, and they'll either have to go home, or I know a lot of times when things were going on at my house when my kids were growing up, and you know, if my wife wasn't there to handle it, and I was pretty fortunate. She was able to handle most of the situations, but ever so often you got those calls saying, hey, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what to do, and you're stuck here. I can't, right now, if something were to happen at home, I can't leave here until I have proper relief. The citizens of Vista are paying me to be here. If it's really, really bad, a lot of times they'll let you go home and they'll do what they call emergency recall and call somebody in. But it's pretty stressful at times when you can't go home and handle situations like normal families do. But you learn to adapt, and you know, by talking with my kids, you know, they probably were pretty happy, and they knew my schedule pretty well. So when they wanted to go out and misbehave and do things that I probably wouldn't allow them to do, they knew when Dad was working a 24-hour shift, and they knew probably they a lot of times probably could get away with it. Sometimes they got caught, sometimes they didn't.